Great. All right, so welcome to the second in our series of learning at home workshops, Surviving to Thriving. I like that name. Anyway, so we're here to talk today about technology and software, hardware, and some of the things you're going to need to make distance learning work for you and your family. So we are hoping some more people will join us. We've got at least 10 more people signed up other than us to take part, and so it may be that they join in the next few minutes, but I think we should start certainly with introducing who else is online with us today. So we've got Christina Liu, who's our Chinese outreach coordinator here at PPS, which means she works out in the community working to make sure that families across the city have access to all the right information in the language they understand. So Christina, I will introduce you, I will get you to do the housekeeping in a second. I've also got Miranda Martin online, who's our Director of Policy, who's been super busy this fall, keeping up with all of the things that have been happening with the Board of Education. So there's been all sorts of exciting and interesting developments pretty much every day. So she's been working super hard. So anyway, if we can just move on to the first slide, Miranda, just to talk about some housekeeping, and I will hand over to the very capable Christina, who will be handling our chat as well.
Hi everyone. My name is Christina. I'm the Chinese Community Outreach Coordinator for PPS. So we have a very small group as of right now. So just want to give you guys a little bit heads up about how's this meeting going to go. So make sure your microphone is on mute. Although we have a very small group, you just let Kate to talk when she's talking, and then you guys can ask questions afterward. And if you guys feel comfortable, you guys can activate your camera if you would like to, so we can see your lovely space. And if you are on laptop, if you're on a laptop, tablet, or phone, you can just put your question on chat, and then we can give you support when it needs to. And then we will give you the notes after we will send you guys a PowerPoint after this workshop. So don't worry, like if you can't put down the notes, so you can just hold on to it, and then we will send you email afterward.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Okay, we're hoping we get some more people online. We've and the housekeeping rules here also talk about all the other controls. I'm sure you're familiar with Zoom. We've all been using it a little bit more recently. So if you have any questions though, do use that chat function, and we'll try and do what we can to help along the way. And if you have extra questions, we can cover those at the end. So what we're going to be doing today, as I mentioned, was going through some of the things we want to achieve. How do we want to leave the meeting? What is it we want to make sure people are feeling when they leave? We want to talk about access to hardware and to Wi-Fi. How do you get hold of it? What do you do if it goes wrong? And generally accessing the troubleshooting issues that parents have. We're going to look at ParentVue, connecting with teachers, and learning platforms, which are really important as we approach Monday. And at the end, there's a survey with the slides, as Christina mentioned, and if we need to do some individual support, we'll be happy to do that then. So if we move on to the first slide. So as I mentioned, we're going to be going through some basic information about—
Question, please.
Sure, go ahead.
So, sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
I'm trying to use the chat to send a message, but it's only allowing me to say save the message, not to send. What is the problem with that?
That's
unusual? I think it might.
I think you can just hit enter, and then you will be sending out the message. Try hitting just enter.
Enter or return.
Okay.
Okay.
And would you please tell me your name as speaker now?
Sure. My
And
name's.
that's
I'm
Christine.
sorry, I just didn't introduce myself, did I? Goodness, how rude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my
Say
name.
your name.
My name is Kate. My last name is Moore. Yeah, I work for Parents of Public Schools. I've worked for a couple of years in the team, and I look after quite a bit of our operations as well as looking after our office. So it made sense to me today to be the person to deliver some information about technology, just because that's one of my responsibilities. So yeah,
Okay, thank you.
it's okay. I apologise. I just was interested in introducing the others. Anyway, so we'll get back to the agenda. So we're looking at. Sorry, I'm getting a message. So we're looking at giving basic information today, details of how to log in with your child, how to keep track of their work, and the best way to communicate with your teachers. And as ever, this is one of the things that Parents for Public Schools is all about. It's about making sure that we've got this connection between parents and caregivers, all who have the same, having similar experiences, can share their expertise and make each other feel happier and calmer about the whole experience. So if we can just move on to the next slide. So yes, what tech should I have? Today's presentation is going to be looking at 3 different areas. We're going to be looking at your access to ParentVue. We're going to be making sure that you can see your children's grades, look at their report cards, and I'm getting quite a bit of feedback on my. Is there a problem with my sound, or can I just check that with people? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
It's perfectly good.
Yes,
It's
you sound
perfect.
perfect.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, sorry about that. I just was worried for a second there that my Wi-Fi might be letting me down. So yeah, we're going to be looking today as well at devices, as I mentioned, the computer that you need to be able to view your child's classes, how to access Zoom with them, how they can receive messages, which is really important, and obviously the work that they get to interact with online. We're going to look at how to request technology, how to make the most of the internet access you have got at home, and what to do if you haven't got internet access. And lastly, we're going to be, importantly, we're going to be looking at those online learning programs that everyone's talking about at the moment, which is the Seesaw for the lowest grades, pre-kindergarten and up to 2nd grade, and Google Classroom for all the other grades. So next slide is all about, you got it? Yes. So next slide is all about the technology that we need parents to be able to access. So as we say here, it's available to every student. So even if you've got multiple students in your home, SFUSD are committed to providing each student with the right equipment to be able to access the full distance learning program. And they will prioritise those who need a device first when they're dealing with these requests, and it's important to know that there is some information that you'll need when you want to access when you make a request, and that is your email address, your phone number, and your child's student ID. Now, if you don't know your child's student ID, it's important to know that it's on all of your child's report cards up in the corner, the long number in the corner. It's also on your ParentVue account. So when you access that, you'll be able to see your child's student ID, and obviously every student's got a different ID, even if you've got 1 ParentVue account and 2 students. So the other thing I want to talk about as well was about this family link email, which was basically a way in which you can access help from SFUSD when things are going wrong. So if you've got an issue with your hotspot or your Chromebook or your tablet, you email that email address or call that number and tell them all about it, and give them your details. Make sure that you've got you leave your name and your phone number and your email address so they can contact you as soon as they can. One word of warning even is that although they are manning the phones between 9 AM and 1 PM every day, every weekday, if you call afterwards and you leave a message, they promise to only get back to you between 24 and 48 hours. So if you do have a problem, it's important that you get to that number as quickly as you can, so it gives them time to fix the problem for you. So I just want to make sure I'm covering all my notes here. Yeah, I think the only other... Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I had one addition, because I heard a lot of people asking this today.
Yes.
That for the younger kids, the devices they're getting are touch screen devices. And so some families have wanted to know, like, if I provide my own device, what would be the best kind? And for the TK to second, having like an iPad or a Chromebook that has a touch screen would be ideal. Yes. And although they're saying that, you know, it's for families who need them, I've been hearing that many families, that schools have a decent number of these. So if you're having trouble having a device that seems like it'll work, it seems that it would be worth putting in a request form to make sure you have technology that's going to work for your child.
Yeah, and I know that, I mean, schools have been communicating to families about this for at least a couple of weeks. So I certainly, as a parent of an SFUSD student, have been receiving messages from both my kids' schools saying, what do you need? Come and get it. And they've just set up in my child's middle school at least a pickup during the week next week. So if that might feel like it's a bit late, but better late than never. If you need a device, or you have one that you're trying to get kids to share, you need as many devices as your family requires. So it makes sense for you to get another if you need it. Okay, should we move on to the next slide? Great. So this is about just making sure that Wi-Fi is working for you, and because as we all know, there can be issues with dealing with multiple users of Wi-Fi at once, and we don't want that to be a struggle for you. So we want to make sure that you've done a few things to make sure that you're getting the most out of your Wi-Fi, and speed tests are a very good way of doing that. You can check various places and spaces in your home to make sure that you've got the best Wi-Fi you can. As it says here, 2.5 to 3.5 megabits per second. Not absolutely sure what that means, other than that's about as much as, oops. I think we've gone to a speed test link there.
I'm demonstrating.
There you go.
This is what it looks like.
There you go. We're going to test and see how fast your internet speed is. So it'll be, it gives you a little speedometer. Look at that.
Oh,
that's amazing.
That looks good. Okay.
That's as much as fast as you can get. Particularly considering there's lots of people using it all at the same time.
Yep,
although this afternoon, when I told my children that they had to all read books, so they couldn't disrupt my my presentation this afternoon. They weren't allowed to use the Wi-Fi. Anyway, and on that note, it is worth talking to your family, making sure that there's a way in which you can say, okay, between 9 and 2, which is roughly the time, or 9 and 2:30 rather, that's roughly the time that most children's Zoom classes are happening. We need as little other things happening too, and so that's worth considering. And the other thing you can think about is turning your video off. Sometimes it's not ideal, because I know teachers would love to see students' faces, but if that means the difference between staying connected and not, it's probably best to do it. The other thing we can do in our homes is switch our phones, which also use the Wi-Fi network, to cellular network, and there's a link here to show you how to do it. Super easy. It's just making sure that you know where the controls are on your phone. So, here we go, live demonstration. So basically, there's this link is basically showing you how you can do it on an Android or an Apple phone, and making it super easy to show you how to do it. And it's actually really handy. I tend to do it when I know that I've got lots of demands in my household, and that's the same with the hotspot. Oops. There we go. Using your phone as a hotspot, again, it sounds complicated, but it's actually quite simple. If you have data on your phone and your Wi-Fi is letting you down, you can use data from your phone as a hotspot for your laptop. So if things are getting frustrating, that's one way to get around it. And lastly, I did want to make a point about the fact that Wi-Fi is expensive, and we have found out that there are lots of different solutions to make Wi-Fi a bit more affordable. And that link there is basically, it's just an article that gathers all the different providers' information together. So it will tell you about what Comcast, Xfinity are doing, what AT&T are doing, lots of other different companies. And in fact, they offer free Wi-Fi to students as well through some of these services. So it's well worth checking out. Okay, should we go to the next slide? Okay, ParentVue. Now, I'm assuming that many of our attendees to this presentation know all about ParentVue and know what a wonderful application it is. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating, but the main thing you need to do is activate your account. Again, this is something that schools have been contacting families about for the last week, or at least a week. I've had at least 3 messages from each of my kids' principals saying, activate your account, make sure your information is up to date. And the reason is, if your information on ParentVue is out of date, they will not be able to send you those very important text messages and emails that could mean you know more about what's happening with your school, your child's schedule, anything that, you know, some really important stuff about whether it might be attendance or grades. But that's really, really important. And so do make sure and familiarize yourself. Make it one of your favorites on your computer or your phone if you can. Website you can access easily. There is the app for the phone as well, which isn't bad. It's you can't do everything on there. Like some of the application functions weren't active last semester, but everything else is there, and it can actually be quite a quick and easy way of checking things out using your phone. If you, on that page as well, you can see that there's lots more ParentVue information through that link, and SFUSD have done a ton of videos and guides about how to use each of the functions on the portal, I should call it. It's not an application, it's a portal. So I'm just trying to think about anything else that we've missed on ParentVue. I think that's it. And yeah, about the applications online, that's just one last thing before I set the poll up, is that next, this coming year for application enrollment for the 2021-22 year will be done online. They started that process early because of the pandemic, because of the shutdown. So that was good, and it was a good way to iron out some of the kinks. And I hope that it's all going to go smoothly for this coming enrollment season. So yeah, by all means check out some of those features, but and PPS will be circulating some more information about that as we go through the fall season. So let's get on to the next slide, which is about a poll, and I'm going to set the poll up now and launch it, and then you can tell me what you think. I hope everybody can see the poll. We've got just one person who's answered so far. I hope you can answer some of the questions if you've used ParentVue.
Yeah, I can't do it because...
Yeah, you're a co-host.
I'm a co-host, yeah.
Okay. So nobody else has filled the poll in. Is that because you're all on phones, or... But you can see it, I'm hoping?
Yeah.
Okay, well, a poll might not be the answer today. Never mind. Oh well. Okay, shall I give everyone a couple of more seconds to see if they can answer the poll? You can click your answers, then we can figure out how everyone's feeling. Okay, all right. Well, I think we'll end it there so we can move on to the next, because I didn't get very satisfied. I got 0%. I should have to write a better question next time. Something about lockdown, perhaps. Anyway, so should we move on to the next slide, please?
Okay. Sorry, I was getting rid of my poll there. Okay.
Don't worry. So on to the good stuff. Learning platforms, as they are helpfully titled. It's the SFUSD term for these programs by which our students will be able to access their classes, communicate with teachers, wave at them through the screen. And Seesaw's got some good reviews, and I know it's something that you can use outside of SFUSD So if you wanted to check it out as a family member, you can do. But for these purposes, for the SFUSD start of year, for pre-kindergarten to 2nd grade, you should have been sent some information by your school. It should happen in the next 24 hours. I really hope so. So it's an application that you can put on your phone, but obviously we want to use it through iPads, through touchscreen Chromebooks, or through other computers that we can use with our children. You get much more functionality that way. As it says here, you click the I'm a student button, which is the one in the middle, and you should be able to log in with your home learning code, which is something that your school and your school's teachers should have provided you. We haven't actually heard exactly how this is happening, and because I'm not a parent of a elementary school student, I'm not aware whether these codes have been sent out. I really hope so, because it really helps to be able to log in and have a look around. So as it says there, once you're logged in, you can see all sorts of details about how you can get involved. The activities tab is where you do work, and announcements and messages from your teacher in the inbox tab. If you want to review how to use Seesaw, they've got a few videos on their site, and we've linked one at the bottom there. There's how to get started video. So one thing I was going to mention earlier, and I should have done, which is, I think this is just a YouTube link. Yeah. So, oh, look, you've got a pointer. That's exciting. Anyway, so basically this is the how to get started video is one of a few on the Seesaw website. And we are assured this is going to be something that younger students will enjoy using. It's been around a little while, and yeah, so it'd be good to find out what parents' experience is of this. Is anyone? Can I do a quick question to anybody who's a parent of a young elementary student? Have they received any information about Seesaw from their schools and teachers? You can unmute to say yes or anybody. No, I don't have any parents of elementary students. Well, that's a shame. I'd like to have known. I would love to know what parents' experience is of Seesaw. So we'll find out more as we go along. If we can go on to the next slide. We are into Google Classroom, which seems, for me at least, it seemed a bit scary to start with. My children both used it last year, and I didn't really take as much notice as I should have done, to be very honest with you. So doing this presentation made me take much more notice of what Google Classroom is, how it works, and how one should get along with it with my children. So Google Classroom is part of the Google suite of applications, and when you log in into Google, you can access all of the things like Gmail and Drive and Google Classroom. So logging in is the most important thing to practice doing, particularly if you've got a younger student. So, and your student Google login, which is super important, is in their ParentVue page. So this little link here that Miranda's pointing to with a very nice red pointer right now is a link to a SFUSD page, which shows you exactly where it is. It's quite easy to find. I found my son's login yesterday, and so that was useful to practice. And oops, we're going to have a look at it. Here we go. So yes, there's either a video or a step-by-step instructions below, and it really is as easy as just finding that student information tab on ParentVue and finding your way back into Google and logging in. So if you're not familiar with Google, there is once you log in, there's always, once you get your little icon in the side, it might be your child's initial, or sometimes if they've put a picture there already, if they've used it before, there's normally 9 little dots, which is basically the menu, the Google menu. And if you click on there, you can access all the different features, as I've said, the Gmail, the Google Classroom, and this plus button, which I'd like Miranda to highlight for me. It's in the top right corner of the Google Classroom page. That's right, that plus button's important. That's where you add your classroom. So when you get your classroom codes from your child's teachers, and I've just been sent them by my children's middle and high school teachers, so I'm hoping you'll start to receive yours. That's where to add their current classrooms. This is actually my child's I've screen grabbed her classroom from last year. So this is her class. This isn't current, but she let me have a little browse around and show how it's done. And as you can see on the screen grab I've done, she's got everything there from lunchtime clubs to track teams to all sorts of things that really make school communities work. And it is actually a really useful way of encouraging communication. And so when you click on a class, so let's say you were going to, you can't do it here because it's a screenshot, but if you clicked on let's say the 4th period ELA, you've got a list there of the communications so far, the classes that have happened, and there are 2 different tabs. You've got the classwork tab, which will show you all of the classes that have been happening so far, and that's often where teachers will put Zoom links for joining classes. And there's a people tab there as well to show you how to contact your teacher and other class students as well. So those are really useful bits of information that I hadn't known about before. Now I know about them. I'm very happy about my child moving ahead into the year with a bit more confidence. One of the really important things I also found out about was Guardian email summaries. Now, if you haven't heard of them before, these are basically little summaries of work that your individual student has been set, that maybe was work that is due. Oops, here we are. So it's progress in the classroom. There we go. So when I've experienced them before, it's been a list of work that's been set that week, the due dates, and missing work, which is also very important to keep an eye on. So as a parent of 2 teenagers, it's sort of helpful for me at least to keep a track of those things. So yeah, so one of the things I really wanted to emphasize was that your teachers, they may offer you this proactively, but if they don't, I would highly recommend you ask about it. I mean, it may be that they don't do it for the first couple of days, and particularly as we've said in our previous presentation, the first 30 days of the fall semester is this, building connection and community within classes. So it may be that they decide to set up Guardian email summaries when the real curriculum gets going a bit further into August and September. But it's worth keeping in mind that if you want to keep a track, it's really good. You nominate the email that you want it to go to, and then you get your weekly email summary, and it's really handy. So I would definitely do that. I just want to make sure I've covered all of the things about Google Classroom. Great. Okay, and I just want to say about this it's just a slide to show that there are so many resources online. In fact, so many, it can be quite mind-boggling. And that's why I've been so pleased to do this presentation today, because to distill it down into these 3 simple areas. So getting you the right device, getting you on ParentVue, and getting you into the learning platform. Those are the 3 areas that we wanted to focus on today, just because that's what you need on Monday. There's lots of other resources, as I've said. Some of them, if you prefer reading, there's web pages. If you prefer watching, there's YouTube videos. So as I mentioned, we will be adding these links. These links are all live links, and when you do our survey at the end, we'll add these slides on, and so you can use all these links for yourself and browse at your leisure. So
there's a questions on the chat. So
okay,
yeah.
Sure. I mean, we could tackle them now. I'm just I think the next thing is a poll. So we didn't get many people doing the poll last time, so you never know, we might get some more people doing the poll this time. Do you want to tell me what the questions are?
Yeah, so one parent said, our student Google account don't allow us to use Hangout. I don't know if anyone else has the problem.
Hangouts. I have not heard that SFUSD are using Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts are actually an old technology. Google's not supporting Hangouts anymore. They do this thing called Google Meet, which is what get you a little bit like Google Hangouts used to be. Meets, yeah, there you go. So I don't know I haven't seen it many places about SFUSD using Google Meets. It may be that that's how they're going to be doing one-to-one interactions between students rather than taking up Zoom time.
So let me explain.
Sure.
Ask the question. Since our pre-K in SFUSD is year-round,
yes,
we have actually had a break, and we've only used Google Meet.
Oh.
but it forces all the parents to log in to a Google account in order to give their child access.
Yes.
If there was a way to convince the district to allow our pre-K and TK student accounts to use video, you know, so I didn't know if it was just isolated to our school.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that Google Meet does have its limitations, and if you don't have a good Gmail account, you can't access Google Meet, for example. That's why Zoom for us, when in terms of, you know, making things as accessible as possible across the board, that's why we tend to use Zoom. So that's a really good point, and we can absolutely take that question to SFUSD and tell them. I've been in touch with somebody today I was telling them about, at SFUSD, telling them about our presentation. She said if parents have got any questions or issues, send them on, and we can post some information about that in our newsletter, which comes out regularly, which I'm sure you've seen those messages coming out. So we can send updates out. The other option, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, about contacting Family Link at sfusd.edu, which is the way in which they're funneling all of the SFUSD are funneling all of the inquiries related to, well, any subject really, but it's basically about finding a way of being able to triage communication, so that it might be worth your while emailing them as well. But it's a really good point. Okay, so we've talked about helpful videos and online guides. We're going to do a little poll again, see if it works this time. So we're going to have a quick poll, and this will also help tell me whether anybody else has got individual help that they would like to use. Oops, we don't want to do that. We want to do polling number 2. So I'm going to see if it shares results. Stop sharing. Sorry, it's not letting me do my second question. Oh, here we go. Here we are. There we go. So yeah, this is about how do you feel about Google Classroom. If you've still got questions, be really interested to find out whether you have, so we can talk to you at the end. See if we can solve any of your problems. I wonder whether this is, can everybody see the poll? I haven't
Yes, I can see the poll.
I haven't got anybody else voting, and I was wondering whether that's an issue because we're sharing hosting.
Yeah, so we have someone vote.
Oh, okay, great. All right, well, I'm going to leave it for another 20 or 30 seconds, make sure we've got some more people voting, and then we can have a look and see what the results are. So hopefully we've answered some of your questions.
Kate, it looks like everybody's voted.
Oh, great. Oh, that's funny how I can't see that. Okay, great. And I can't see the results either. So let's see what that is. No, I can't see. Can anybody else see the results? Because I can't see them.
I can.
Yes. So yes. So one person said it's too confusing, and then one person said it's getting there. Okay,
but everybody else is getting there, or no problems? Wonderful. Okay, so what we can do afterwards, as I said, is people can self-identify at the end, and we can help you out. Can we move on to the next slide?
So I just wanted to chime in. I just looked up something about the Google for pre-K, and it looks like kindergarten and up, they get a Google login from the school district, but that does not happen for the younger kids. So it sounds like that is something that it would be good to get an answer about, because you know, I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to have access to that for kids that are younger than kindergarten. So
yes. And also, do parents realize that they have to be logged in as their student? Because that's the Gmail account? I don't know. It was Amy. It was Amy that was asking.
Yeah, it does. It specifically says that they're only sent to students. It says you log in using your SFUSD, your child's SFUSD Google ID and password for K through 3 students.
Okay.
good question. We'll see what we can find out.
Yes. Okay. So moving on to the next slide, we just wanted to cover a couple of issues related to things that are happening around, Miranda, if you can move on to the next slide. Yeah, just issues that are happening around distance learning and having the right tech is attendance. So one of the things that we were interested to make sure that we shared with everybody about this notion of participation, which is something that was outlined in the fall learning plan, and we talked about at last week's presentation. So participation attendance counts as participation in daily live interaction, and also by using the learning platforms that we were talking about earlier, the Seesaw and Google Classroom. So your teacher knows when you've been online, whether you've looked at the work that was set, whether you've attempted to work the work, and and whether you've messaged them. So it's definitely worth talking to your student about this, making sure that if there is work set, they've had a look at it and at least tried it. And if you have any issues or problems, that's when we need to get in contact with teachers via using the email functions as we described earlier on. So I think so the definition of participation before I stop is attendance in a Zoom class, joining a Google Hangout, there you go, they are using Hangouts, submitting classwork or assignments in ParentVue or Google Classroom, participating in a group chat, or contacting an educator via direct email, call or text. And educators being somebody who's credentialed but isn't necessarily the only teacher in the room. It might be a para-educator. So on to the next slide. Again, we wanted to just talk a little bit about getting used to this whole new notion of sitting down, doing Zoom classes. What is it going to be like? And as we know, being ready for your Zoom, ready for your close-up is definitely something that you have to get used to doing, making sure that there isn't light behind you, make sure the light's in front of you if you can, learn how to use some of the controls. And I like this list of reducing distractions. It's something I've actually done myself in the last few days since I've been practicing this. Low traffic location. I often find that people, if you'd rather people not see somebody preparing dinner behind you, then you need to move location. If you need to close tabs and windows to reduce distraction, that's so helpful. And we're all victims of that. Things that are popping up on our screens. You can also set your notifications on your device as well to make sure that doesn't happen. Again, same thing with putting your phone away, turning it onto silent, making sure that it isn't going to be disturbing you. Headphones are super helpful, obviously, and making sure all your biological needs are catered for, making sure you've got something to keep your speaking voice ready for engagement in the classroom. And I talked to you a little bit about doing some practice with your child. It may be completely new to them, or it just might be fun to just practice if they haven't done it in a little while or haven't done it since last semester. So figuring out that they know that where the controls are for Zoom, for example. Again, having a look on Google Classroom is super helpful for that, making sure they know how to click the links that they've been, because often teachers are sharing links in Google Classroom at the same time as Zoom is happening. So they sometimes need to be able to do a couple of things at once. So it's definitely worth having a practice. You can be in one room and they can be in the other and make it fun. The other thing is, and some teachers allow a chat function to work. I'm not absolutely sure. Certainly in my children's classes last semester, it sometimes wasn't on, but you can message the class and you message the teacher, as I said, through the Google Classroom app. So, and also make sure that if you've got any chance to take a stretch in between sessions, take eye breaks, look into the middle distance if you can, and make sure that you don't get too tired from a long class. I'm sure teachers are very aware of that as well. And activity, as well. It's something that's super important. I've just recently started taking a break in the middle of the day to just go for a short walk, 10 or 15 minutes. It seems to make all the difference. I've really enjoyed it. So it's worth having a try at incorporating that into your students' day if you can. Okay, on to the next slide is just the last note about, oops, onto communication. So as we said in our last meeting, teachers are supposed to be sharing weekly schedules, lesson content and assignments, but we don't know exactly how teachers are going to be doing this. I'm certainly getting a lot of, as I said earlier, lots of messages from my children's schools, and I hope you are too. Trying to save them all in one place in my email so I don't lose track. But also, as I said earlier, about connecting with on your child's Gmail to make sure that they are getting messages, but also that connecting via ParentVue to make sure that if you have an issue that you need to talk to your child's teacher about, you've got a way of being able to contact them through their SFUSD email as well. So as it says, connect with your online school community, and hopefully the better we will all be. And as I said, yeah, we've got these slides and all the links in our survey that we're posting in a minute. So do take a look at that, save it, and you can use all the links. They're all public links, so you shouldn't have any issues connecting with them. Hold your camera up against your phone up against the screen to be able to access the QR code, or you can copy and paste that link there. One of the things we are also doing is we're going to email everybody that's taken part today to make sure that you've got a copy of this survey link, and you can easily do it. I think we're putting the survey link in the chat. That's something that people can copy and paste. Okay. Yeah, so what we need to do now is find out whether we've got, well, apart from saying thank you for taking part, and I'm so grateful that you've arrived today and had a listen. We've got 30 participants altogether, which is great. And yeah, so it'd be wonderful to find out, yeah, how you feel about it. Just complete the survey, but also yeah, hope we've prepared you for the coming week. So yeah, has anybody got anything particularly they need to ask or to ask us? We can hopefully help.